So, motherfuckers, today I'm going to analyze a game that I played 4 years ago in 2021. But it's a so important game for me because thanks to this victory in the last round of the Madrid Championship, I became Madrid Champion under 16 for the first time in my life. I born in Castilla-La Mancha, so until I have 14 years old, I only play in Castilla-La Mancha, the autonomic championships. And Madrid is, of course, another level of competition in all. Madrid have like 10 levels above. So for me, it was great to can go to Madrid and to, to can win against the Madrid players, being a boy of Cuenca. So let's analyze the game. I remember this game because yesterday I was playing a mini match against a Catalunya legend, and he played against me the same opening like Sebastian. So for that reason, I remember this game, and I decided to comment. To put us a little bit in context, the tournament was 5 rounds, and in the first 4 rounds, both me and my opponent have 3 points and a half. So, and the rest of players have two and a half or three. So, this was the decisive game. If the player who won this game is going to win the tournament, and my opponent have more tiebreak than me. So, in case of draw, he probably win. And he was the best player in Madrid and one of the best in Spain in this year. He always win in Madrid. Okay, I open with e4, c5, knight f3, e6. My opponent always, Sebas always play this type of Sicilians or the can or another type the Sicilian with e6. Okay, e6, d4, c takes, knight takes, e6, and bishop d3. All my life I employ this move. I prefer than knight c3. Knight c3 here, in my opinion, have no so much sense because place here when black is coming with b5, I don't really like. I prefer bishop d3, more flexible because the knight sometimes goes to d2 to go to c4 or to get into f3. I don't like to even also pass the knight to c3. Okay, bishop d3. And here in this game, I prepare against two moves. I prepare against bishop c5 and I prepare against queen c7, which I move that my opponent plays so much. So castle, knight f6, queen here, and b6. I remember that I prepared this line so much. Okay, I play bishop d3. Again with bishop c5, I prepare for the move too, knight b3. Here there are two main threats. Threats, sorry, bishop c8, bishop e7, or bishop a7. Again with bishop e7. And here the move queen d4, attacking d6. And the principal idea is that he should maybe move this pawn, and now that have some holes in the black so castle. For example, if he develops the knight to f6, always I have ideas of bishop e6. For the reason, after g6, I just return to e2. Bishop f6 here was another possibility. I have another game in the channel analyzing this move against against this Catalunya player that I play in another game in SESCOM. Okay, he can win g6, the main move, and here I just go back to e2 with the queen. The queen have nothing more to do on g4. He makes his tags, which provoke the move g6. So now I just return to e2, d6, and here I came with a4. Move who surprised my opponent a lot because, okay, let's analyze it. So castle was the main move, of course. And okay, with a4 there are many games, but many are recent. Okay, let's see that in 2023, 2024, there are many games there. Here the main move was the short castle. So a4 surprised my opponent and he didn't react well. He played b6. So after a5, white is better here. Okay, other option for black to develop was, for example, bishop d7. I can just play e5. So black should develop a knight in the queen side. Because the problem, if you develop this knight, white only have this. And if you return, okay, here I have bishop f8, of course. But sometimes after you return, if I haven't bishop g8 winning the rook, I can just return and win a tempo. But here, of course, I win the rook. Okay, knight c6. For example, here I have short castle, knight f6, bishop h5, bishop e6, knight h5, f4, e5, f5. bishop e5, trading my good bishop. You can castle, I just take and knight c3, trying to go to d5. Knight b4, stopping to go to d5 with the knight. Here knight d2, queen d2, sorry, and in the same game I find because this pawn is strong, this pawn is going to be weak. Now I'm coming with knight c4, attacking this pawn, attacking b6. I have this square, this pawn is going to be weak. The d6 pawn specifically is the huge problem of black position. And knight d7 was another normal development. But okay, my opponent plays b6, and here I play a5, b5, and here I forgot, sorry, the theory. Here the best move that I analyzed and I forgot was knight 1 d2, trying to play c4 fast. I play bishop e3 with the same idea of playing knight d2 and c4, but was stronger here to um, go faster with knight 1 d2, knight f6 and c4 without lost any tempos of bishop e3. No, first knight d1, knight d2, c4. Used to be normal, first develop the bishop, but just in this case, it was most important the speed than just develop the bishop. Knight f6, c4. Okay, let's watch how black can react. If he take on c4, I just can take with the knight, knight d7, bishop e6. Ah, here white was so pleasant. We have the b6 square, more development. Let's see that only have developed two knights, and we have four pieces developed, a part of the great a5 pawn. So here white is better, of course. So black should give the pawn. For example, knight h5 was a way to give the pawn, g3, before. No, this is to maintain, sorry, to give the pawn, the best was sarcasm. C takes, A takes, and bishop b5 here was bad because just bishop b7 and black have some counterplay for the pawn. Yeah, here the best was short castle, bishop b6, rook d1, and knight f3. That's to give the pawn with black and try to play for the counterplay. And if you want to play more solid with black, the best idea was knight h5, g3, b4, and here I have c5, taking the c4 square for the knight. Short castle, bishop a6, and f3. And here black have a pawn up, but I have a great knight on c4, the rook is coming to d1, this square is also weak, this pawn is so weak too because mm, disturb the bishop. You have not put a square for the bishop because if you put on b7, this pawn blocking, and on d7 it's not making nothing. So, and apart, this knight is completely misplaced on h5. This bishop is so good on h6 because sometimes there are going to be some a rank checkmate. So white's position is also pleasant here. But okay, I play bishop e3, developing the pieces. I just forgot the theory. My opponents came with knight d7, normal development. And here I finally make my plan. Knight 1 d2, knight f6, and c4. And here he take on c4, normal, knight c4. And here he have a great counter in the center with d5. That's the problem of my move bishop e3, who is a little bit slow. A little bit slow, and after d5, the bishop is going to have problems. So here d5 was great. Maybe I planned knight b6. I don't, of course, remember. I remember many things of the game because it was an important moment. That I remember so much staying playing the game. I was so focused in the game. Now I'm playing more focused, but in the past I not used to be so focused like in this game because for me it was maybe my most important game for this moment. Okay, d5, knight b6. And here he have some options. For example, he can take on e4, bishop b4, knight e4, knight a8, bishop b7, knight b6, and take here. But okay, here white is better. But okay, black have some counterplay because have the bishop paid, especially the right square bishop. The b6 pawn is located, but I prefer white here, of course. Better moves. Okay, bishop b4 was so interesting. But here I have king f1. Great move. I really like this move. This move give white a little advantage. And knight b6 was another possibility. A takes, and here bishop b4. This move order was slightly better because now white have defined the a takes b6 recapture, and now king f1 was less better. And so here knight b2 with a small advantage for white. And I really like knight takes b6 and bishop b4. I think that is the strongest move order. But okay, like I told, b5 was a good move, but was not so clear. Of course, white is still having a small advantage, and the position is also complicated. Okay, he came with bishop b7, just development and attacking form, and I just decided to give the e4 pawn, of course, and place my knight on b6. And here my opponent made his decisive mistake. That's the exactly moment where he loses the game. He take on b6, two passive move, and just after a takes b6, and white is winning. It looks strange that in only 16 moves I just winning, but that's true that here I take b6 and white is winning. Let's see what can do instead of that. Just sacrifice the exchange. That's the core resolution of the position. Knight takes e4, bishop takes, and here I'm not going to take on a8 so fast because if I take here it's enormous, or take with the with the queen maybe, or with the bishop, I don't know. But the black counterplay is huge in this position. Black have one pawn and a bishop for the exchange, but the light square bishop was so strong. Or you can take with the bishop as well. And I don't like that position. Bishop d5 was taken with bishop. Sorry, the moves that I'm missing. Okay, bishop d2. Sorry, bishop d2 and then take on a8. So for that reason, I should sword castle with fc1. But okay, black have many counterplays here for the. Okay, at the moment I'm not taking the rook, but if I take the rook, black is going to have many counterplays. So for that reason, it was better to just still develop the pieces. So that's the solution for black problems in the position take on e4 with the knight. Instead, I play knight b6. Okay, instead he take on b6, and here after a takes. Just let's understand why it is just winning. Okay, first the b6 pawn. Sorry, the b6 pawn was so strong. It only needs two more steps to promote. And the other huge problem is the a6 pawn. The a6 pawn is going to fall. And after the a6 pawn fall, the p pawn is going to run so much. But the huge problem, and I enter on, for example, after short castle, I enter on c7 with a rook, for example. But principally is that the a4, a6 pawn is so weak. Of course, I'm going to lose the a4 pawn, but the a6 pawn is so important. A bishop takes, knight takes. Here, knight a5 or short castle are stronger. With the I play bishop d4, who is winning too? No, yes, it's just winning, but okay, the machine prefer a little bit the others. Because the machine doesn't like bishop d4 because e5, but here I just plan to play queen d4. He takes queen c6, b7 and short castle, and here I'm winning. So bishop d4 was a great solution for the position. He returned to f6. He doesn't want to allow me to place the queen on c6 logically because this position looks like it's completely lost. He tries to gain with knight f6, but now with the absence of the b7 bishop, my pawn advance another step. b7. Now I only need one more square to promote. With b8 only move. And okay, here I'm just, for example, after queen a6, I'm just playing bishop a7 and winning the rook. Queen d7, trying to attack the pawn, but I just defend it. So castle, and here bishop e7, attacking the rook. And okay, maybe he can move, but for example, if he moves the rook, he's not going to promote so fast. I can maybe go sword castle first, or knight c6. I can promote when I want, but this pawn is so sorry. This pawn is so strong to give the bishop and the pawn for a stupid rook. So I want more for the pawn. I want or the full rook or something like this. I didn't want to give my bishop and my pawn for a simple rook. Okay, bishop d8, bishop b8, bishop a5, rook a5, rook b8. Yeah, rook b5, defending the pawn. Now I have a exchange up and I lost 0 pawns. Knight e4. Okay, now the knight is coming to take my c5, my b7 pawn, so castle. Knight c5. And here I just give the pawn back to trade pieces and only keep my rook against his knight. And I still having a pass pawn on b2. I play queen a8, trading rooks, queen b5, queen b8, king e7, And here I just trade the d6 pawn for the b7 pawn. I accept that the b7 pawn is going to fall, and I just take on d6. But now I still having a pass pawn on b2, so now this pawn is going to run. Okay, queen d2, defending the pawn, knight c5, and now I play queen d2, but now I'm going to play queen d4, f6, because I have this idea of attacking this knight. F6, rook c1. Okay, because in the first glance I didn't play queen d4 because of e5. But here with the knight on c5, he's having the move e5, so he should move the pawn. Yeah, rook c1, attacking the knight, knight a4. Here I play with great b4 because he cannot take because yeah, rook c7. And if you take with the queen, I have queen e7, taking the knight. Maybe I'm playing with a little bit fire because okay, here I should be more technique h4 or h3. In the present, maybe I play h3 or h4, but in the past I used to play more aggressive and more concrete move, and I always try to go for the more sharper, like before queen takes queen e7 and knight before rook c7. So he plays d5, and here I just decide to trade queens, queen c4, queen takes, rook takes, and after knight b8, rook c8, my opponent resigns. So I really like this game. One first because of the competitive importance, because that's my first victory in a Madrid Championship. The following year I won the under 18, but okay, this was my first victory in a Madrid Championship. This was before I only dedicated to chess, when I won this tournament. I still in the school and I'm not professional of chess. And apart came from when I decided to change my federation from Castilla-La Mancha to Madrid. I of course know that it's going to be so much hard because in Castilla-La Mancha I was the best, and in Madrid no, in Madrid there are better players than me. Like for example my opponent of this round. But I decided to change to Madrid and try to fight for a place here and try to win in Madrid. Who is my when I have 14, that was my principal goal to try to go to Madrid and demonstrate my level and increase my level in Madrid, playing the Madrid as the team in the Spanish Championship. And okay, maybe other day to make another video of my participation in the Spanish Championship with Madrid in the second board. But okay, I just want to comment this game, who was one of my favorites. I remember Big Test because I was playing another game with another player and he plays me the same opening, so I remember that. If you want to watch the other game with Bishop f6 instead of b6, I'm going to give us the name, so nothing more. Let's see the video. Bye bye, motherfuckers.